They said it was impossible. A fighter pilot who couldn't see his enemy. A man flying through pure darkness, guided not by sight but by sound, instinct, and rage. German pilots believed night skies belonged to them. Their bombers moved like ghosts, invisible, untouchable. Until one American pilot began hunting them, blind. No moon, no stars, no visual contact. And yet, one by one, 8 German aircraft fell from the sky. This is the story of the man who proved that vision is not always born in the eyes. Sometimes, it is born in the dark. He was never supposed to be here. Long before radar screens glowed green and night, fighters stalked the sky like predators. This American pilot was just another young man with oil-stained hands and a dream that refused to die. Born in a quiet corner of the United States during the uneasy years between 2 wars, he grew up staring at the sky more than the ground beneath his feet. Airplanes were still miracles, then fragile machines of metal and courage, and he memorized their silhouettes, the way other boys memorized baseball scores. But there was something wrong. Even as a child, darkness behaved differently for him. When the sun dipped below the horizon, the world didn't merely dim, it vanished. Shadows swallowed detail. Faces became shapes. Depth disappeared. Doctors gave it a name that sounded harmless, almost forgettable: night blindness. A condition that, in civilian life, was inconvenient. In military aviation, it was a death sentence. When the United States entered World War II, the skies filled with opportunity and danger. Thousands of young men rushed to enlist, chasing glory, duty, or escape. He joined them, hiding his condition behind perfect daylight performance. In the sun, he flew like a man born in the cockpit. Smooth landings, razor-sharp turns. Instructors praised his instincts, his spatial awareness, his calm under pressure. Then came the night flights. Most trainees struggled at first, but adapted. He did not. Darkness crushed his vision completely. Runway lights blurred into useless stars. Other pilots relied on faint outlines of clouds or moonlit wings. He saw nothing. Just black. The instructors noticed. A medical board was convened. Papers were signed. Words like unfit, unsafe, grounded floated through the room. His career should have ended there, in a quiet office far from the front lines. But war has a way of bending rules. By 1942, German bombers were terrorizing Allied cities under cover of night. Conventional defenses were failing. Day fighters were useless after sunset. Something new was needed. Night fighters, and not enough pilots, were willing to fly blind into darkness where death could come from any direction. That was when someone noticed something unusual. During instrument training, while other pilots glanced outside to orient themselves, he never did. His hands moved automatically between gauges, altitude, airspeed, compass, artificial horizon. Where others relied on partial vision, he trusted machines completely. In simulated blackout conditions, he performed better than men with perfect eyesight. An idea formed, dangerous, radical, desperate. What if blindness could be an advantage? Instead of relying on eyes that lied in darkness, what if a pilot relied solely on instruments? What if the enemy, glowing on primitive radar, could be hunted without ever being seen? The decision was made quietly. Officially, his condition still disqualified him. Unofficially, he was transferred to a special program few knew existed. No press, no promises, no guarantees of survival. His aircraft was not elegant. A bulky night fighter, packed with early radar equipment, antennae protruding like insect legs. The cockpit glowed, faintly with instrument light, his entire universe reduced to needles, dials, and sound. The first time he flew at night alone, fear arrived like a physical force. Not panic, something colder. The knowledge that if anything failed, he would never see it coming. No visual warning, no flash of enemy guns, just impact. He learned to listen. The engine's pitch told him speed. Vibrations warned of stress. Radar operators spoke in calm, clipped sentences, guiding him toward invisible targets, distance, bearing, closing speed. The Germans still believed the night belonged to them. They were wrong. His first interception came over blacked-out territory, clouds layered like ink. Radar contact appeared, a single blip. A German bomber, fat and confident, flying straight and level. The operator's voice tightened. Target ahead. Range decreasing. He never saw the enemy, never saw the aircraft he destroyed. When he fired, he aimed not with his eyes, but with mathematics, timing, and instinct. The explosion lit the sky for half a second. Then darkness returned. On the ground, officers stared at the report in silence. A confirmed kill, at night. By a pilot officially unfit to fly after sunset. They sent him back up, again and again. Each mission sharpened his senses. Fear transformed into focus. Darkness became familiar. German crews began reporting something impossible. Bombers. Vanishing without warning, no searchlights, no tracer fire visible until it was too late. A predator was hunting them, and he was still just getting started by now. He had learned a simple truth. Darkness is not emptiness, it is opportunity. While other pilots relied on fleeting moonlight or distant flashes, he trusted the instruments and his trained instincts. Every beep from the radar, every vibration through the fuselage, every breath of wind told him more than sight ever could. Where sight failed, intuition ruled. The German Luftwaffe had no idea what they were up against. Their night raids had been methodical, efficient, using blackout cities, clouds, and the cover of night to escape retaliation. They assumed Allied night fighters were limited by human eyesight, just as every flight manual assumed. But this pilot, officially unfit, had transformed his weakness into a weapon. His first few missions had been cautious. One bomber at a time, a single pass, a single kill. But he quickly discovered that timing and coordination could multiply his effectiveness. By communicating silently with ground radar stations and fellow night fighters, he learned to anticipate flight paths, not by seeing the enemy, but by predicting their behavior. German formations followed routines. Their speed, altitude, and approach patterns were predictable once he mapped them. Each radar blip became a heartbeat, each signal a clue to where the next bomber would be. During one stormy night over northern France, he intercepted 3 bombers in rapid succession. The clouds were thick as ink. Lightning flashed intermittently, revealing fleeting silhouettes of distant aircraft. But he didn't need to see them. He relied on instruments, the radar operator whispering coordinates. His heart synchronized to the rhythm of the engines. One by one he engaged, lining up the target purely by sound, timing and calculations in his head. Explosions tore the night apart, invisible to him but confirmed by the faint glow of distant fires below. By dawn, 3 enemy bombers lay destroyed, and his name remained classified. Flying in complete darkness demanded absolute trust, not just in machines but in the people around him. Radar operators became more than teammates. They were extensions of his senses. They guided him, corrected his heading, measured altitude differences, and warned of approaching threats. He communicated in clipped mechanical bursts of voice, removing emotion to prevent hesitation. Every second counted. A single mistake could end in death, but the German pilots began to notice something. Reports trickled back to headquarters of bombers destroyed by night fighters that were invisible, pilots who didn't seem to need to see. Stories grew darker, more mystical. Rumors whispered of an American who could fly blind and kill without warning. The Germans didn't know it yet, but fear of the night was becoming a weapon for the Allies. By mid-1943, he had perfected a sequence that became almost routine. First, radar contact, the heartbeat of the hunter. Then approach vector calculations, aligning the aircraft to intercept without visual confirmation. Third, engagement timing, calculating distance, velocity, and rate of fire, predicting where the night enemy would be, not where they were. He fired not at the present, but the future, a prediction rendered deadly by math and courage. The night sky became a theater, and he, the unseen director of chaos. On one mission, he intercepted a formation of 4 bombers, their silhouettes hidden by low clouds. The radar operator guided him in, one blip at a time. Engine vibrations told him the weight and momentum of each target. Firing sequences were rapid but precise. Within minutes, 4 bombers crashed in a fiery arc across the countryside. Each explosion sent shudders through the aircraft, but he remained steady, calm, almost detached. Darkness was no longer a threat, it was a cloak. What made him remarkable wasn't just accuracy, it was resilience. Other pilots would have panicked after multiple kills in the night. He thrived. Each engagement honed his senses. Each mission added layers to his intuition. His mind operated like a finely tuned instrument, reading not just his plane but the environment, the enemy, and even the subtle patterns in the night sky. Fear became a tool, not an enemy. He could sense danger before it arrived. Anti-aircraft fire, searchlights, and enemy fighters, all were signals, not threats. By the end of one particularly brutal week, he had destroyed 8 enemy aircraft in total darkness, each confirmed by radar and surviving crew reports on the ground. He was a legend before the public even knew his name. a phantom moving silently in the night, untouchable and unseen. But war is never static. Every victory drew more attention. The Germans began to adjust tactics, splitting formations, flying lower, changing patterns. They did not understand the full extent of his blind hunting, but they sensed the threat. They called him the Phantom of the Dark Skies in intercepted communications, a ghost they could neither see nor predict. And still he kept flying. The darkness, once a curse, had become his battlefield. Each flight was a challenge, a test of nerves, calculation, and endurance. There were nights when fatigue threatened to overwhelm him, when the small lights of the cockpit became dizzying, when every shadow could be imagined as the enemy. Yet he pressed on, driven by the certainty that if he did not hunt them in the night, they would hunt civilians below. By the end of Part 2, it was clear he had rewritten the rules of aerial combat, not by superior vision, not by luck, but by sheer will, intellect, and the courage to embrace what others feared. He had transformed darkness from enemy to ally, radar from tool to weapon, and himself from pilot to legend. Flying at night was like walking a tightrope stretched across eternity. One miscalculation, a slight misread of altitude, one misjudged turn, one misaligned shot could end in instant death. Yet he thrived in this unforgiving darkness. Each mission a delicate dance between life and annihilation. The German Luftwaffe had become increasingly aggressive. After reports of their losses, they adapted. Bombers flew lower to evade radar. Night fighters attempted to intercept him directly, and searchlights moved in unpredictable patterns. The skies were no longer a blank canvas, they were a gauntlet. Every mission carried the weight of possibility. One misstep could destroy him instantly. On a cold December night, he received word of a heavy bomber formation approaching. Allied targets in northern France. 8 enemy aircraft, escorted by fast night fighters, were slicing through blackout zones. The radar operator, seasoned and calm, guided him silently. The blips on the radar were more than mere dots. They were lives, missions, and the fate of cities below. He adjusted the plane's instruments, double-checking altitude, heading and firing angles. The cockpit lights cast a faint green glow on his focused expression, his hands moving with precision and instinct. The first target approached, a massive Heinkel bomber, its engines growling through the void. He could not see it. He had never seen it. Yet he knew exactly where it would be in 3 seconds. Then 2, then 1. He fired. The tracer rounds were invisible to him, but the radar operator confirmed the strike. The bomber spiraled out of control and crashed into the dark fields below. The second and third bombers followed, and each time he repeated the same calculation: anticipate, engage, destroy. By now he had internalized the rhythm of the night, the pulse of his instruments, and the subtle vibrations through the fuselage that told him more than sight ever could. He was a predator in an invisible forest, stalking prey by instinct and intellect alone. Yet danger came in more unpredictable forms. One night, an enemy fighter, a Messerschmitt, appeared on an unexpected vector. They were nearly invisible against the black sky, approaching silently but swiftly. Anti-aircraft fire erupted from the ground, tracer rounds crisscrossing the air like deadly threads. The fighter banked aggressively, attempting to flank him. Here, instruments were not enough. Intuition had to take over. He felt the shift in air pressure, heard the faint whine of the enemy's engines, and adjusted. His hands moved automatically, banking and diving with precision that seemed impossible. A split-second decision, fire now or wait, decided survival. Tracer rounds found their mark. The enemy aircraft shuddered violently and went down. His heart raced, but his mind remained sharp. There was no room for panic. Every distraction could be fatal. Flying blind demanded more than technical skill. It exacted a psychological toll. Endless nights, spent alone in the cockpit, trusting instruments over sight, created a peculiar intimacy with danger. Shadows became companions, silence became a canvas of tension, and the weight of responsibility pressed constantly. He was aware that every enemy destroyed saved lives on the ground, but he also carried the memory of every near miss, every bullet that passed too close, every bomber that had almost evaded him. Sleep became fragmented. Dreams often replayed radar blips as haunting, luminous dots. Despite this, his determination never wavered. By the end of the winter campaign, he had destroyed 8 confirmed enemy aircraft, a number extraordinary for any pilot, let alone one officially blind at night. German pilots, terrified and mystified, began reporting sightings of a ghost in the night, a hunter they could never see, always striking with deadly precision and disappearing, as if swallowed by the sky itself. Accounts from Allied radar. Operators tell of a pilot who seemed to merge with his instruments, reading their every pulse, interpreting signals faster than any human eye could track. He was one with the night, they said, a pilot who could not see, yet knew exactly where to strike. His legend spread quietly within Allied circles, a secret weapon whose exploits would only later emerge in classified reports and whispered stories. By the spring of 1944, his missions became increasingly crucial. The German Luftwaffe, desperate to disrupt Allied supply lines and troop movements, intensified night raids. Entire formations were sent into the black sky hoping to avoid detection. But each time he adapted. Patterns that others thought random were predictable to him. He relied on the subtle cues of engine vibrations, radar blips, and the faintest shifts in wind. He attacked with ruthless efficiency, each mission a demonstration of strategy, intuition, and fearless precision. And then came the final engagement that solidified his legend. Intelligence reported a major bomber offensive targeting a key industrial city. He took to the skies as darkness fell, his aircraft a shadow among shadows. The radar screen revealed the formation, 12 bombers with escort fighters, flying with precision and deadly intent. The mission would be his most dangerous yet. He engaged, moving silently, calculating every trajectory, firing without hesitation. Bombers went down one after another. German fighters attempted to intercept, but he danced between them, trusting the instruments, trusting his instincts. By dawn, the formation had been decimated. 8 bombers destroyed in one night, the peak of his career, the height of his mastery over darkness itself. As he landed, exhausted but victorious, his fellow pilots greeted him not with disbelief, but with awe. He had redefined what it meant to be a fighter pilot. Sight was no longer the measure of skill. Courage, intuition, and mastery of instruments had become the new standard. He had hunted in complete darkness, destroyed enemies thought untouchable, and survived where others would have perished. And though the war would continue, and night skies would remain filled with danger, his name and his legend were now etched in history. A pilot who could not see, yet brought the night to heel. He couldn't see, yet he destroyed 8 enemy aircraft in total darkness. A blind pilot who turned night into his weapon and terrorized the Luftwaffe. His courage proves that vision is not in the eyes, but in the heart. Remember his name. Remember the night he changed history. If you were amazed by this story, hit like, subscribe, and share this unbelievable legend. The night has never been the same since.